What's going on, everybody? It's been a while. The new season is starting to get going a little bit. I know we haven't been around for a bit. Fishing's kind of been out. I'll give everybody time to log in here and get going and everything. Bring all your questions to the comment section. Uh, Justin Cooper is going to be joining us here just shortly. Here, probably about 3 or 4 minutes. He'll be coming on with us talking about the upcoming season. But I'm just going to give everybody time to get in here, get this shared, and we'll get it rolling. Let's see. Bear with me. I just got to get this thing shared here. Got a couple rolling in now. If you haven't joined us before, so we started this up last year, Bass Fishing Live. We started it. If you've not been to Eastern Outdoors Media, that's where me and John and Mike and everybody, we've had everything going probably like 3.5 years now. We've started Bass Fishing Live, but we're going to cover everything tournament fishing. So if you're interested in tournament fishing, if you're interested in bass fishing, just in general, that's what we're going to be covering during these lives, through our posts, during reviews, videos, everything. That's what we're going to be doing with Bass Fishing Live. So if you're interested, make sure you go hit follow us, bring your questions to the comment section. I'm just getting it shared right now. That way that we can get everybody in here. But if you're watching, in the comment section, put where you're watching from. If you're watching from Eastern Kentucky or Eastern Tennessee or wherever you're watching from, put it in the comment section. We want to know where you're all watching from. Just let me get this shared real quick. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Major League Fishing. So we got Justin Cooper with us today. And we're going to be talking about the upcoming tournament on his home lake, Toledo Bend. Let's see here. There's that one. One more. Bass Fishing Live. Uh-oh. So we got 4 in here. Again, if you're just now joining us and you're coming on, in the comment section, just post where you're watching from. We want to know where everybody's watching from. It it helps all of us connect, just because these tournaments, for instance, they fish all over the world. They're fishing in North Carolina, they're fishing in Louisiana, they're fishing everywhere. So we want to know where you're all watching from. Just put it in the comment section. And I'm about to bring Justin on here in just a second. I'm just getting this post shared to the last couple places, and we'll get it rolling here. Let's see. Right there. Anna Cooper, I assume that's Justin's wife. I'm assuming, or family member. All right, we got it shared. I'm going to bring Justin on now. Justin, what's going on, brother?
How's it going, Josh?
Man, just another day. It's
I hear you.
Work all day, come home, get the kid, get his homework done, get everything ready to roll for the next day. So,
there you go.
So how's it going for you, brother?
Man, it's good. Just it's been a little bit of a stressful week, but we start practice on Saturday on Toledo, so just fired up to get out there. It's been a busy week, Just trying to make sure all the ducks are in order, just try to be prepared as possible.
Absolutely. Now, before the show, we were talking. You said you were having electronic problems.
Yeah, having some either network cable issues or some type of power issue, whether it be the power wire or something like that. So we're trying to get that diagnosed and figured out before Saturday for sure.
Right, dude. I mean, it's right around. Do you all start practicing on Saturday? Is that
Yep. We all start practice on Saturday.
Okay, so if you're just joining us, we got about 9 right now. Just in the comment section, put where you're watching from. We want to know where everybody's watching from. If you got questions for Justin, we will get to them. Just put them in the comment section, and we will get those questions answered for you. So, Justin is on. Well, actually, Justin, just go ahead and introduce yourself, and we'll get it rolling, dude.
Yeah. So I fish on the Bass Pro Tour. This is my rookie season on the Bass Pro Tour. Super stoked to be there. I fished college, had a good successful college career, and then I started kind of doing more local stuff like BFLs and stuff like that after college. I started
So
holding my
you
own.
started at the bottom
Yeah,
all the way up.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I started holding my own in the BFLs, and if guys are watching from around this Toledo Bend, Sam Rayburn area, they know that Cowboy division in that BFL is a gauntlet.
I
I
bet.
mean, if you can hold your own and be consistent against that group of guys, then you're pretty well rounded angler.
Right.
And then I felt like I was ready to make the step to the Pro-Ams, to the Toyota Series, and qualified my very first year in the Toyota Series for the Pro Circuit. And I was there for fished the Pro Circuit for 3 years, and then made the Bass Pro Tour.
So what do you have to do? So what is the, I guess, the requirement or the qualification when you're in the invitationals on that tour? Where do you have to place for that year? Is it like consecutive years you have to place? Is it just 1 year you have to place? How
No,
do you,
they do it based off of 1 year, and it has kind of changed from year to year. So this year that I qualified, 2023, was they took eight. They took eight guys to top eight in Angler of the Year. Now, some guys may go look back and was like, well, you got 12th. So I finished 12th in Angler of
right.
the Year.
Yeah.
But due to guys retiring, guys going back to fish the Opens or the MPFL, that opened up spots and allowed me to get a call. I got the call in October, I believe it was. Our season ended in August. So
Yeah.
from August up until I got that call, I was just planning on fishing the
Dude,
invitations
I
again.
imagine getting that call. So I'm a big football fan. I love
Yeah,
football. Watch football all the time. Are you a LSU fan?
not really. No, no, I'm
No,
not an LSU fan.
no.
Hang on,
Okay. Do
I'm about to
you
get
watch
a lot of flack for this, but hang on. I don't know if you can see that.
Longhorns?
Yeah.
Longhorns. Hey,
Me-
pretty good year though. I know y'all ended up getting beat, but it was a pretty good year.
yeah. Good season. Good season.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it was a good year.
but
Uh,
yeah, yeah. So through those guys leaving, I was able to get that call. And so Daniel Fennell was tournament director, and I was actually in South Texas working. So I work at a deer ranch and help deer breeder consultant.
mhm.
Been doing that for like 7 years in the winter, fall, winter, or off season for fishing. And I was actually traveling down to South Texas when Daniel Fennell called me. And at first, he like just wanted to like shoot the bull. And I'm like, all right, well, why are you calling? He was like, well, I got a spot on the Bass Pro Tour if you want it. And I remember just taking my hat off and like throwing it on the dash. And I was riding passenger seat, luckily, because we were in
Oh,
the middle of San Antonio. If I would
yeah.
have been driving, I may have wrecked everybody. And I was like, "Are you serious?" He was like, "Yeah." And I asked him, I was like, "Okay, well, when do you need to know an answer?" He said, "By the end of the day."
Oh
I
wow.
said, "Yeah." I
Yeah.
said, "All right, I will call you right back." So I sit there and thought about it for a second. And my boss was driving. He was like, What's wrong?" I was like, "I just got the call for Bass Pro Tour," and he knows how long I've been wanting this too. And he was like, "Oh my gosh," he was like, "Get on the phone,
So what
start calling."
was there? I know like a decision like that. Yeah, you're married. You have kids, correct? You have kids.
Yeah, yep,
So there's a lot that comes into play with it because there's so much traveling. It's a ton of
for sure,
money, in all of it. So what was
absolutely.
it, family based? Because I know like probably everything in you wanted to tell the director on the phone right then, like, "Yep, I'll be there. No
Yeah,
worries." But I'm assuming it was more of the, I got to talk to my wife before I get things going.
yeah, for sure, and it was, and like you said, my first reaction was like, "Absolutely, I'm in." But I was like, "Let me call her, just see what she thinks. Let me call my
Uh-huh.
mom and dad, talk to them about it." And I called my wife right then, told her, and she was like, "Call him back right now and say that you're in." And so I did. I called him back and
That's
said, "I'm in, man."
awesome. Now, let's say Anna. Is it Anna Cooper?
Yep, yep, that's my wife.
Anna, you sound like a keeper. You
Yeah,
sound like a
she is
keeper for sure.
for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
She's
Yes,
been with me through the ups and downs of this sport, and has got to travel with me across the country. It's been phenomenal to have her
that's
with us.
awesome.
She's
That's awesome.
she has a meal for us when we're off the water. in the pro circuit, myself and
Yeah.
3 other guys, we traveled together, and
Right.
she was definitely the house mom for everybody. So they're going those guys
Yes.
that I ran with on the invitationals, they're gonna miss
Yeah.
her this year, not having her.
I just imagine getting the call. So, like I said, I'm a big football guy. And John Stepp, he just commented. He's the other guy. He couldn't be here tonight. He had to work, uh, I just imagine like the NFL draft. You know, you get the call and you're like, like some guys they're all pumped up, and then some guys are like, man, really? I gotta go play for the
Yeah.
Lions. You know,
Yeah, right. Yeah, no
I
doubt.
can see, I
But
can
it's
only imagine, man.
yeah, but it's what I work for, you know, it's what I've been
Right.
busting my butt on the invitationals, and I
Yeah.
was so close in 2022. So like I said, it has varied each year how many they take to the BPT, and
Yep.
in 2022 they took 10,
Yep.
and that year I was 11th. I was the first guy out.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Oh man.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you talk about a real swift kick in the you know what.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah,
bet, dude. I bet. I can't
and
imagine how heartbreaking that was.
yeah, and in that year, not nobody retired, only a couple guys left, so it didn't
Right.
open up a spot for me. Well, this year, even though I was further back in the points, there was enough guys that left that gave me my opportunity, and
Yes.
and I kind of struggle with that. Well, I ain't gonna say struggle with that, but it isn't quite the way I wanted to qualify.
Yes.
I wanted to qualify because I made it inside that top eight.
Right.
And I talked with my wife, and she's like, "You need to get that out your mind." She's like, "If you look at your career average on the past 3 years, so my rookie year in 2021, I was second in the rookie of the year,
Yeah. That's what I
and
was saying.
I finished 20th in points. So of those 3 years in the points, I finished 20th,
I think I
11th,
seen that
and
it said
12th.
you uh every year you'd place top 20. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had 20th, 11th, and 12th in points.
Yeah.
And if you look at that career average, against the rest of the field, I'm like way up there in the top. So it just means something, that I've been a consistent angler my entire career.
Right.
There's three those BFLs I was talking about. I finished fifth in AOY
Yeah.
3 years in a row.
That's hard
The
to do.
year, yeah,
Consistency is like that's one reason like Jacob Wheeler is as good as he is.
for sure.
'Cause he not only is he consistent, but he's consistent in like the top 10 anglers
Yeah,
in the world
yeah, no doubt.
all the time. So that's
Hmm.
good. If your whole career you've already been consistent, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, yeah, consistency's got me where I am now. I just gotta figure out how to go one more step up and
Yep.
learn how to win.
Right.
That's the thing with Wheeler. He wins and he's consistent. And
Yeah.
Dakota Ebear, a lot of these guys,
Right.
and I just haven't found that or haven't had that big break to get that win yet and really put it all together. But like I
Yeah.
said, I've been consistent and it's got me, pretty far in my career. So
Right.
just ready to put that
It
last
seems
piece
it
of the
seems
puzzle
it seems like people once you get that first win or like that top 10 or top 5, it almost like it's a chain reaction. So I had a buddy,
for sure.
uh, he lived out here with me in Western Kentucky. He fished Kentucky Lake and stuff all the time. Then he moved back up. He lives in La Crosse now. And I can't he was fishing the BFLs, but there was some other type of tournament he fished. And it was like a big fish tournament. It wasn't like a best five or anything like that. It was something different. And man, he ended up winning. He won it. He won a boat out of it. He won some
Yeah.
cash out of it. And then ever since that happened, it was like a chain reaction. It was like I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's like you get in a mindset and then you just keep moving. And I mean, I wish I could figure out what Jacob Wheeler is doing because dude,
Yeah, man. Yeah, he's got that winning mentality and whatever it may be, hope it clicks with me this year. Would sure
yeah,
love to bring
yeah,
a
yeah.
BPT trophy home.
Right. Yeah. Now I think it was 2021, and I remember watching on TV. I think you already fished a Bass Pro Tour event. Was it
I
Champlain?
I did. Yes, I did. Yep, at
Champlain.
Champlain.
Yeah. So I talked to you know who Jacob Galelli is? Or
Man.
Jacopo Galelli.
Uh Jacopo Galelli, the Italian. Is that what you're
That's it.
talking about?
Yeah.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. So I talked with him a couple of times. He's a really really nice guy. And I think he placed like second in that tournament. I remember
Yeah,
watching.
he did.
I was like, man, I got to get this dude on. I got to get him on our show. So I ended up talking to him. Super easy to get a hold of too. I was really surprised. because sometimes they're really hard to get a hold of. But super nice guy, just laid back. But how much do you think that fishing? I mean, obviously you're used to it because the guys fishing the tackle warehouse, the invitationals. I mean, they're not pushovers. Like they're big sticks. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
you're already fishing against big sticks.
Yeah,
But do
absolutely.
you feel like the Bass Pro Tour fishing an event already? Because I mean, I've not been to an MLF event, but I've been to the Classic. And the Classic, I mean, the Classic's huge. Everybody shows up, and it's massive. So, do you think that just that one event has kind of prepped you, or just the overall prepped you for this moment?
Yeah, I feel like it kind of has already got my jitters out of the way for, like I'm about to not fish my first Bass Pro Tour event, even though it's my rookie season, you know?
Right,
So I don't feel that quite as much pressure,
right.
there as I already fished one.
Yep. Yeah, man. So let's go back. So I know you fished college. Did you fish before college at all? Did you grow up fishing a lot? Or I know you
Grew
said
up fishing.
yeah, it was
Yes.
the rodeos you said.
Yeah, yeah. Rodeo and baseball was my big thing. And
Baseball.
fishing was just something that I did seasonally with my dad.
Right. Right.
Springtime, summertime, just growing up. That's what we did. Fish in the spring and summer and hunt in the fall and winter.
Right. Yep.
That's what I grew up doing.
Yeah,
And
that's
but I loved it. I loved the sport. And I can remember like yesterday, my dad and I we won our first tournament together, and I was 11 or 12
Mhm.
on the Red River. I grew up in a town that's in between Toledo Bend and Red River,
Okay.
Coshado, Pull Fork, Coshado. And growing up, we fished Toledo a lot more than we did, or Red River than we did Toledo. So we had more tournaments out there and stuff like that, and it was a
Right.
company tournament. And like I said, I'll remember that for forever. I had big bass at the event. I think we had like 18 pounds, and I had
Yeah.
a 5.5 pounder. My dad, my dad missed it on a buzz bait, and I threw a weightless Cinco in there right on
Mhm.
top of it, and it engulfed it. And I set the hook, and it went around the stump, and it just hung on that stump. And it was way out there. It was probably like it had to be 80 feet or something
Yeah.
out there, and it just mouth open, just stayed on that stump, and he trolled up there and grabbed it.
Grab it.
I'll
Yep.
never forget it.
See,
But
I don't know what it is about and I ask guys this all the time, and I truly believe it. I do. There's so many different styles of stick baits out there, but it seems like maybe and I don't think it's just me, but regardless of what brand you buy, I feel like Yamamoto is for some reason it's the best. I don't know why, but I feel like it always catches them. Is there a preferred stick bait you like to use?
that Yamamoto is hard to beat.
Yeah.
But that B&M chopstick, so
Hmm.
that chopstick, when they went to a new formula like 3 or 4 years ago, and it got really soft, like very comparable to that
Right.
Yamamoto, and actually has that same shimmy. So honestly, I throw the chopstick more than I do the
Really?
Yamamoto. There's only two colors that V&M doesn't make. Uh, that Yamamoto does make that I throw a
Yeah.
lot. So that's the only reason I throw a Yamamoto. Other than that, you know, if it's a normal generic color, then
Right.
I throw a chopstick.
I got you. Okay. All right. So let's get let's kind of roll into Toledo Bend. So that's obviously top of the priority list right now. Like very top of the priority list. Uh how are you feeling going into it? Obviously it's your home lake or your home water or
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
see
grew
there's
up
a lot
beside it.
on there. There's how are you feeling about
Man, I'm excited just because it's in my backyard.
it?
I know the lake very well now. The last 7 or 8 years, I've actually guided on the lake.
Yeah.
Made a living off the lake. So for the most part, I know it pretty well. The only part that I don't really know is the very, very, very south end of the lake, like the last two creeks or so
Yeah.
around the dam. But other than that, I know it really well. Mother Nature has thrown us a curveball, though. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
looked at a radar this week, but there was just torrential downpours in
Yeah.
this area the last 3 days,
Right.
and the lake has actually come up a foot and a half
Wow.
in about 36 hours.
Yeah.
So a lot of
That's
water
crazy.
coming in. It's still coming in.
Right.
They have I seen where they turn the generators on, so they're pulling the water down, trying to catch up with what's coming in.
Yeah.
But But before that, the fishing was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Before off limits, I spent about 2 weeks out there just really trying to find new stuff.
Right.
I spent a lot of time behind that wheel, looking at my Garmin units,
And I'm sure, like
graphing.
you said, being in your backyard, being right there is extremely helpful too, especially for your first event. Like you can really get prepared, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got to spend a lot of time on the water. I
Right.
actually live on the lake now,
Oh,
not
okay.
on the water, but across the road from water.
Okay.
And my neighbors, that are actually waterfront, they're really good people, and I can put my boat in their dock when I want to. So there was days
Oh, that's
that
great.
I just put the boat in the dock and go walk across the road and go in the house, get a good meal, and go to bed and wake up and walk back across the road, get back in the boat and go do it
Yeah.
again.
That's
So
awesome. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. So I had definitely had an advantage, you know,
Right.
by that.
Yeah. Heck yeah, man. So, uh, we went to the classic last year. It was in Knoxville, and they were fishing the Tennessee River. Was it last year? Was last year? I think last year was the Tennessee River, but I can't remember who it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, that's right.
But there was a local. Well, I wouldn't say he was a local, but he's from Knoxville, and dude, there was so much pressure on him because
Yeah, is that Lester? Brandon Lester? Is that right?
it was
Yep.
Brandon Lester. It was. There
Mhm.
was just so much like before we got there, but I mean, we're talking weeks in advance. Everyone's talking about Brandon Lester. He's going to tear it up, And I feel like, yeah, that's a huge advantage for him because he's grew up fishing those waters. Like he probably knows it like the back of his hand. But I feel like the pressure that comes with that because
For sure.
everybody's putting money on you. Do you
Yeah.
feel that way at all?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
And I shouldn't. I mean, it's just another event,
yeah,
but there's a lot of pressure on myself. I feel like, the community has supported me. I've done interviews with local newspapers and the
right,
tourist commission and people are reaching out to me. So it's I have a decent following locally, of course. So a lot of people are cheering for me. So I'm just that guy that I wanna make everybody else proud too,
right.
like, that's just how I wanna do, Of course, I wanna go catch 'em, I wanna go catch them for me, but I don't wanna go catch but I wanna go catch them for everybody else too, so
Yeah,
there's a lot of pressure definitely, and that home field advantage that it can be a double-edged sword,
right,
It can really work to a guy's advantage, like we've seen in the past, guys winning classics and
right.
other events, on their home waters, but then the other side of that is, man, guys have almost bombed on their home
Yeah,
waters,
yeah, yeah,
So
for sure.
I and I think it's all time of year based.
Yeah,
This time of year in the pre-spawn, I think that's when local knowledge really comes into play.
yeah,
Just because they're not up on the bank. If this was March or April when all
yep,
the fish are up on the bank, I think it's a wide open field. I think local knowledge goes out the window when fish are on the bank and they're spawning because
right,
anybody can get lucky, go down the right bank at the right time and catch them.
yeah,
But when it's pre-spawn or post-spawn, that local knowledge of knowing where they normally are, where they're normally grouped up, how they, move, transition, this drain they utilize, this creek they utilize to go up and down. That's where
right.
your advantage comes into play.
I gotcha. Yeah, it's got to be tough just because you know it so well, and I feel like you're like you get set in a way. I mean, it's no different than me going and fishing Kentucky Lake, and I know a spot that I catch them all the time, and then all of a sudden, like they're not biting there, but I'm not. It's kind of like I think of it as, excuse me, I think of it like almost like forward facing sonar, right? So you get on a group of fish, you could see them clearly, and they're not biting, and then you literally waste all day on these fish that's not biting, and you think they're going to, but they never do. So you've wasted all that time. I feel like when
Right.
you fish your home water, it's kind of like that. Like they're there, you know that area, you've caught them 100 times, but then it's like, damn, like I've wasted
Yeah,
all
it's
this
just
time, and now it's like,
yeah, it's just not working sometimes, and that's just what I have to continue to tell myself is don't beat a dead horse.
right,
Just because I caught them here in the past does not mean I'm gonna have to catch them right here, right now.
yeah,
And and that's why I spent a lot of time trying to find new stuff before off limits. Um, And honestly, with all this water coming in, I'm I'm afraid all that stuff that I found is probably going to be blown out.
Right.
So now it's a clean slate for me again. So I'm
Right.
just going to have to go out there and practice,
Saturday needs to get here so you can get.
Yes, yeah,
Are
exactly.
you itching at
Yeah.
the bits right now to get out there?
Man, I'm chomping on it. Just ready to get going.
It's kind of like Gussie last year at the Classic, man. He found that school of fish, and he was going to live or die by it, dude. It
Yeah.
was either he was going to win it or he wasn't. And dude, I mean, it was so close, man.
Yeah, it was so
It was
close. I
unreal.
was there. It was crazy.
Oh, did you go to it?
Yeah, yeah, I was there. Yeah, I
Okay.
was in Bahio booth. Um where Epic. Epic's the
Oh,
big
okay.
sponsor of me. Yeah.
Okay. I think Epic makes swim jigs, right?
Yeah, yeah, that makes swim jig.
So last year we went. What we do is we wake up. Once we get up, we go down to the docks. We interview the anglers, and then we'll go back, get breakfast, take a nap, and then we go over to the expo while the guys are fishing. And I remember coming by Epic. I'm sure we probably crossed paths
Yeah, I'm sure.
at
Yeah,
some
absolutely.
point. And I don't know if it was like the owner or just like one of the pro staffers or something. Uh, but we got some baits from him, and we did some videos and stuff. And dude, I
Awesome.
love their swim jigs.
Yeah,
I
the swim
love.
jig's really good. I love the weight guard. The weight guard's
Oh
phenomenal.
yeah, for
It being
sure.
a little wire instead of
Yeah, yeah. I'm a huge
fluorocarbon or
fan
whatever
of
you
those
call it.
swim jigs.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So, just Jimmy Carroll. So in the comment section, hey Jimmy, he's one of our loyal followers. He's been with us for like 3 years. He always gets on. Jimmy, I hope everything's going good, man, and we love you. But yeah, kind of going. Jimmy made me think of family because he commented and said, "Hello, Josh and family." So kind of going to your family. I know we already kind of talked about your wife travels with you and stuff, and then you've got a. Do you have how many kids do you have?
I have one. I have a little girl.
Okay, okay. How
Yeah,
old?
she's 5 months.
5. Oh wow. So
Yeah,
new
fresh.
dad. Okay,
Yeah, new.
okay. I got an 8-year-old, and he is wild as a buck. Just never stops, dude. His motor never turns off.
Right.
And we just found out recently that we're having another one. So
Awesome. Congrats,
I'm
man.
I'm hoping. I appreciate it. Part of me hopes it's a boy, and then part of me hopes that it's a girl because my brother has two girls, my nieces, and dude, I can just see the way they are with him, and it's like because he's my son's a mama's boy, and
Yeah.
just up her butt the whole time. It drives me crazy, and I need to. Part of me wants another boy, so it's 3-on-1 against the mom,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
part of me wants a girl, so it's evened up and it's 2-on-2. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and we wanted a boy. That's kind of
Yeah.
what we wanted. We were blessed with a little girl, and now I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, I
She's
bet.
Dude, she's 5 months and she has me wrapped around her finger
Oh, dude.
100%. You know,
Yeah,
it,
my brother, dude. It's whatever they say goes is the
yeah,
way it is. It is the way
yeah,
that
for sure.
he acts like he's stern and strict with them, but he's not. He's
Yeah,
not. He's
I
got
already know that. I already know
a
that's how I'm gonna be. She's gonna get whatever she wants. I already know it.
yeah. So what other events? So obviously Toledo Bend is a huge one. That's one you're probably one is the first of the year, and it's your home lake, so you're definitely looking forward to that one. Is there another one that you're really looking forward to participating in?
Yeah, St. Lawrence River at the
St.
this
Lawrence.
up. Yeah, it's the end of season, last event of the season.
Okay. Have you
That's
fished it before?
I have. Yeah,
Okay.
and I've done really well there. My rookie year, we fished there, and
Okay.
I top 10. I got ninth. And then in 2022, we fished the title event there, so our championship,
Right.
and I finished 12th, I believe.
Wow,
So
that's great.
yeah, so had two really solid events
Right.
there, and it's by far my favorite fishery away from home,
Yeah.
no doubt.
Was it smallmouth the whole time?
Yep, smallmouth whole time.
Yeah, dude. I
Yeah, that
watch them up there on TV, and it's like, I think one year, I don't know if it was last year, the year before, and I'm pretty sure it was on the St. Lawrence River, and they were using those floggers,
yep, yeah.
the bed and smallmouth, dude. And
Mhm.
uh, we posted and I'll ask you about the forward facing sonar too. I usually ask everybody about it just to get their opinion on it. But we posted. I did a video or a story on the flogger because I'd seen it. being from the South, I had no idea what a flogger was. I'd never seen that. Like when I remember first watching the tournament and seeing Jacob Wheeler and many of the other guys like Bradley Roy and some other dudes, and they all had that flogger on the front. And dude, I swear to you, I'm not kidding. I thought it was a traffic cone.
Yeah,
I
for
seen.
sure. That's what it looks like.
I'm like, why is there a traffic cone on there? Like, are they warning people like don't come near me or something? Like, and then all of a sudden, I see them leaning over with one hand with their, the fishing rod, and then you got the other one holding this thing, looking in the water. And I finally, figured out what it was. But we posted the story, and man, people were they were like, dude, they've got forward facing sonar, and now they're using these. Well, I wrote the story, and I'm like, well, guys, it's been around forever. First of
Yeah,
all,
exactly.
it
Right.
is very common up north for them to use them. Have you used one before, the flogger?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I have used one.
It
Actually, it's weird. So the first time I used one was the same time that they were there, but I was there. I was there pre-practicing the St. Lawrence event,
yeah.
um, like the week before,
Okay.
and I actually used one then. And then the next week they come in and used it and just absolutely wrecked them.
Yeah.
But
It
yeah,
does not look easy. Like they were people were commenting like crazy, like, yeah, just another way for them to catch these fish, a super easy way. And I would comment like, hey guys, if you watch the videos, there's waves literally smacking them in the face as
yeah.
they're bent over the edge of their boat looking for.
Yeah, so I didn't use it by myself. I had a buddy with me and my wife was with us as well, but he would work the flogger and we'd go back and forth and let her
Right.
catch a few. But so yeah, I didn't operate it by myself, but I can imagine how difficult that would be
Right.
to do by
And
yourself.
how was the adjustment for you? So I always like to ask people, the guys like what's his name, Jacob. I think it's Jacob. I can't remember the last name, but he's from Wisconsin. So he grew up like fishing smallmouth fisheries. He loves smallmouth fishing, but then he comes down south and fishes like Gunnersville or something like that. So totally different. Was it a hard transition for you going from in Louisiana and Texas and that area, and then going up to New York and fishing? Was it a big adjustment?
Yes and no. Um, the difference, I guess, is just kind of way they that's a similarity is how they position, especially on the river, on the St.
Hmm.
Lawrence River. So they still get on, ledges or points of a hump or something like that. So just like
Right.
they would at Toledo, just the difference is how you go about catching them.
Yeah.
I end up catching them with a bait that I use back home. Um,
Yeah.
it's starting to kind of get out now, but I ain't gonna put it out there too much,
Hey, yeah.
but
You
it's
don't
starting
sell
to get out
for.
there too much. Yeah, but but yeah, I mean that transition, it didn't seem like it was that difficult. It was just like I said, just learning, adjusting my different techniques. The
Right.
water's super clear. Going to lighter line, that type of deal.
Yeah. I got a the guy I was talking about earlier that moved up to La Crosse. I really wish he was watching to hear me tell about this, but we would fish Kentucky Lake. Kentucky Lake. I don't know. Have you ever fished Kentucky Lake?
I have not actually.
And,
So their invitationals are going there this year, and
okay.
that's one event that I left my deposit for was that invitational in Kentucky, just because I want to go fish it.
Right. Yeah, and it's gotten a lot better. When I first moved here, it was kind of on the downfall a lot of the
Hmm.
Asian carp and everything, and now it's turned into like a fantastic smallmouth fishery. Like you catch smallmouth there like crazy. But probably about 3 years ago, we went up there and the water levels got real high. They were starting to spawn, and we were fishing buckbrush, just flipping buckbrush with half-ounce weight. And dude, he was smacking them. I mean, it was like every other cast he was catching one. And I was getting aggravated, and he was like, "It's the Zoom Z crawl, dude. I'm telling you, it's the Z crawl." And I told him something. I was like, "We need to make a video, and I'll post it on our Facebook page." And he was like, "I don't want people knowing about the Z crawl, dude. Like, I don't want." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine. Whatever." Uh, did we? It was the next day. We went back out and we're fishing, and we come up on a dude. We come around a corner, and there's a guy flipping bushes, and just, "Hey, how's it going?" And dude, I'll ask. I don't care a bit. I'll ask. I'm like, "What are you catching them on?" And he's just like, "Oh, Zoom Z crawl." And I looked over at him, dude, and you could just tell he was so mad. And I'm like, "Dude,
Yeah,
come on," you know. But there are some, like you're saying, like like at your level, that's a huge thing for sure. Like not not letting it get out because that bait could make the difference in 10,000 and 100,000. So
Yeah,
it's
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So there's, you know, used to younger me, wanted to brag, "Oh, I'm catching them on this, catching them
right,
on that," and now I'm like, little hush hush more
right,
times
yeah.
than not,
Keep the secret.
Yeah,
I
no
don't
doubt.
blame you, man. If I was fishing for that much money, there's no way I would tell anybody. I wouldn't
Yeah,
tell anybody about anything. I don't blame you. Do
yeah.
you so you got Toledo Bend. Then let me look at the schedule real quick. Let me get I had it pulled up on my phone here. Because I feel like you all fish back to back pretty quickly, don't you?
Yeah, so it's basically like we fish 2 in 1 month, have the next month off, fish 2,
Yeah.
have a month off.
Yep. So you all head to Santee Cooper
Yep,
for stage two. Okay. Have you fished
yep.
that before?
I've never fished Santee, but, based off all the videos and,
Right.
articles I've seen from it, it's, it kind of fits my style of fishing, how I cut my teeth fishing.
Right.
Cypress trees, grass,
Oh
that
yeah.
type of deal. So I
Yep.
think that one's gonna be right in my wheelhouse. I'm
Yep.
super comfortable with that style of fishing for sure.
Right. Yeah. What's your preferred style? What do you what if you had to pick one way to catch fish? What do you how do you like catching them?
Mm, and it's tough because one of them is shallow and one of them is deep. It's hard to pick between these two, so I'm gonna just say both of them.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
A bladed jig in hydrilla. I absolutely love throwing a bladed jig in hydrilla.
Is it
That's
dude what the Z Man
the jackhammer.
jackhammer? Is that
Oh yeah,
yeah,
for
dude.
sure.
I don't know
That's
a
what I need.
person, dude. And I get it. I do because I love a chatterbait, and I feel it doesn't matter, dude. Nobody that is serious about fishing is throwing anything but a jackhammer.
Yeah, it's the only one to throw basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other technique is deep cranking a 6XD out deep
Okay.
in schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're two polar opposites, but they're
Yeah.
by far my favorite ways to catch
I've
them.
had issues in the past that, dude. And I'm not. I do not claim to be an expert fisherman whatsoever. Uh, But dude, I can't catch fish deep, and part of it's because I'm terrible at reading my graphs. Like really bad at reading graphs. Something I need to get better. If they're shallow, I'll catch them all day. But I
Yeah,
can, dude. I wish that I could just the fundamentals were there that I knew that I could catch them deep, and I can catch them. Because to be honest with you, I mean, I'm not going to say anybody, but if fish are shallow, most people can go catch them. Like
yeah,
your
right.
average angler is going to be able to go catch them.
Mhm.
But then when you're starting to ledge fish and things like that of that nature, I feel like that's when it kind of gets a little tough.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And well, what you need to do, you just need to plan a trip to Toledo Bend in May, and come down here with me, and I'll
That's
show you how it's
exactly
done.
what I need to do. I
Yeah,
do. I agree, man. I
because
agree.
it's man that deep cranking or just offshore fishing in general, like that's really like that's my specialty.
Hmm.
I do a lot of guide trips, based off that kind of
Right.
stuff. Guys wanting to learn how to do that, electronics trips, that kind of deal. So
Yep.
like that's my like specialty niche. But if I had that other, that bladed jig in that
Yep.
hydrilla, I like to go do that
A
too
lot
for
of fun.
sure.
A lot of
Yeah, it
fun.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
when they knock 4 foot of slack in that chatterbait,
Yeah.
oh man,
Oh, dude. Yeah.
it
Oh,
is
yeah.
so fun.
So what do you I also remember seeing. I'm gonna get it pulled up so I don't jack it up here on your. I got your profile pulled up here. Oh, so you have an outfitting business
Yeah,
with whitetail deer and exotics. So I wanted to ask you about that. Not just to talk about fishing the whole time, just to get to
that's what
know
I'm talking about.
yeah, just to get to know Justin Cooper. What what kind of obviously whitetail, but when you say exotics, what are we talking about?
Man, yeah, exotics covers a lot of things.
Yes.
Axis is my favorite,
Hmm.
by far. Black buck, fallow, anything in that range. You can go into aoudad or stuff like that if we go to other places, go up North
Right.
Texas.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So me and my wife just bought a farm out in Western Kentucky. So I grew up hunting public land. Always hunted public land. That's all we had. I didn't
yeah,
have private land. I didn't have a big farm to hunt. But now that I have a farm in Western Kentucky, this past year That's all I did was hunt my farm. And dude, it was a daylight and dark difference
Right.
in the hunting aspect, dude. It was just, oh, it was so much fun. Like my son got to kill his first deer, actually his first 2 deer
Okay.
this year. And dude, it was just awesome. So when obviously you're a professional fisherman, but if you had to weigh the two, is hunting pretty close?
Yeah, it's really close for sure. Yeah, yeah. Whitetail is my passion. You
Yeah,
know, like fishing is a passion of mine, but whitetail is a passion of mine
I
too.
love it, man.
Yeah.
Love it.
So when I got out of college, you know, you talked about it. So I had a pre med degree.
Yeah.
Did we touch base on
I
that?
think
But
we talked.
anyways,
Yeah. So if you didn't know, uh, Justin, he has a pre med degree. He is uh, way smarter than your average angler. So
I don't know about all that, but I did get that pre med degree. And had a pretty good GPA from it. But anyways, so halfway through my college career, you know, I was doing a pre med deal, and I was like, you know, this isn't. I like pre med, but I don't think it's what I want to do
right.
as a career.
Yep.
And of course, all my electives that I was taking was natural science related, whether
Yep.
it be, you know, wildlife management or fisheries biology, like something like that. You know, the stuff that I grew up doing
Yeah.
and like truly loved. You
Right.
know, so I was like, you know what? I'll just go get both. Everything was under a biology degree, but it was a pre-med concentration and then a natural science concentration.
Right.
So I ended up just going and getting both of them. And I was like, you know what? If something happens, I still got my pre-med to fall back on if I
Yeah.
wanted to, you know, pursue that. Uh, but once I graduated college, I had that natural science, and I did an internship program with Rebel Ranch and Artemis Outdoors,
Yeah.
which is Artemis Outdoors is a breeder consulting firm owned
Okay.
by Chase Clark, and Rebel Ranch is the ranch that his home ranch that he lives on and does hunts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I did a 6 month internship program with him and just fell in love with it, man.
That sounds like fun.
Just yeah, dude, it's an absolute blast. It's a lot of work. I mean, there's a lot of days I seen the sun come up, you know, just from being up all night. Because when you work deer, it's like working cattle, but we work deer at night. You
Right.
know, so it's just a little bit. They're a little bit calmer. You know, they can't see you use flashlights, so all they see is that light for the most
Yeah.
part. And they just work a little better. There's still some crazy ones, no doubt,
Right.
but we run them into a barn, you know, that's pitch black dark, and I go back there, and especially if it's bucks, I may have 8 or 10 bucks in the back rooms, and
That's wild to think about.
oh man, dude, you talk
That's
about
wild
adrenaline
to think
rush. You talk about adrenaline rush, and I carry a shield, and the best way I can describe it is like a Spartan shield. So it's like a 4 foot piece of aluminum, and it kind of wraps around, and it's got two leather straps on the inside you take your arm through,
Yeah.
and I carry it with my left hand, and then a light in my right hand, and just go back there in a room full of bucks that could be 120 inches to 300 inches. I mean, I've worked some
Wow.
giant bucks, you know,
That's
through the
wild, dude.
cradle, and you get them and you single them out, and then you jump them into a cradle where the floor drops out from under them,
Yeah.
and they're wedged in there. They can't jump, and guys come in from the outside of that cradle once that deer's secure and do what we need to do. We cut a lot of antlers, you know, for bucks that aren't going to be breeders or that
Yeah.
we're not going to sell as stalkers. We cut their antlers if they're going to stay in pens with other bucks through the breeding season. So once
Right.
that testosterone gets a go and they want to start fighting, they
Yep.
don't have their headgear to really hurt somebody, you
Right.
know, hurt each other, get locked up, you know, kill each other. So your mortality rate is lower by cutting
Yes.
their antlers. Uh, you know, I've still seen some, you know, some open wounds or a broken leg here and there, but it's nothing
Yeah.
like if those bucks had all their antlers. So
Right.
yeah, like I said, that's an adrenaline rush. I love it.
Oh, dude, I can only imagine. I
Yeah,
just a 300-inch whitetail sitting there
yeah,
looking at you, dude.
it's pretty awesome.
Oh, I
I
bet you. It sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's a blast. But yeah, so I did my internship down there, and Chase asked me to come back every year, and I continue to work with him
That's
at
cool.
Artemis Outdoors
I was going
and
to
Rebel
ask you if there
Ranch.
was anything you did kind of in the off season, so I'm guessing that's
Yep, yeah, that's what I do. So that antler cutting season or buck working season and buck shipping. So we ship a lot of bucks in September before
Right,
a deadline. So there's I believe September 21st is the deadline. If you're shipping bucks from a breeder facility and releasing them into a pasture, we call
right.
them stalker bucks, and they have to be released before that date. So usually around September 1st or 2nd up until 21st, we're shipping a lot of bucks.
I
So
got you.
we got exotic trailers or deer trailers and transporting them all over
Oh
Texas,
yeah,
basically.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Dude, that sounds like a lot of fun. To be honest with you, I wish that was my day job. I really do.
it's a pretty not bad gig.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, especially when you have a passion for it.
Yeah,
We were talking at work today, and one of the guys was telling us that he was talking to his kid and was like, "Look, when you get older and you decide to, when you get in the workforce, don't have a job where you dread going to it every morning. Like you wake
for
up
sure.
and you're just miserable. You don't want to
Hmm.
you don't want to go. So you being a professional fisherman, I feel like that's kind of right up your because most fishermen like to hunt. They
Yeah, exactly.
enjoy
Right.
the outdoors, so that's right up your alley. So good for you, man. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, it works so well. So that's one thing. Like I talk about people or talk to people about is I love my fishing. I love my hunting.
Yeah,
But at some point, it can get a little. I don't know how to explain it. Just just kind of like you just
right.
fall into a rhythm, doing either or, even though how much fun it is.
Yeah, kind of
But
like with
once,
anything.
yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah,
But the great thing is they're basically on opposite ends of
yeah,
the year,
yeah,
So I get to fish from January to August, and then I get to, mess
yeah.
with deer from September through December. So
Right.
it just gives me a break when
Oh
kind of
no,
August, man,
no.
you get start burn out, kind of
Yeah,
August tournament season's dwindling down, guide season's dwindling down,
right.
and you just get tired. Yeah, I get that question a lot. Do you get tired of fishing? I don't ever get tired of fishing. I just get tired.
Tired.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
man. I don't
You
think
know?
people put it into and I'm not. It's not their fault. They don't understand. But they don't see what goes into a tournament, like what truly goes in. Like it was by the time the guys got to the ramp, they would get there 5 o'clock in the morning. They launch. They're waiting to get their name announced. Go out and fish. They fish all day. Well, then they've got an hour trip from the dock to into the arena to weigh their fish. Then they have to do the show. Then they
Mhm.
got to go back to their boats and re-rig everything. By the time they get in bed, it's midnight. Then you're waking back up at 3 in the morning. When you do that 5, 6 days in a row, dude, you're exhausted. Like
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
you almost like you don't feel sorry for them because it's their passion. They're loving what they're doing, but you also feel sorry for them because it's like, man, those dudes are war plumb out. Like
Yeah,
they're
no doubt.
tired.
Yeah. I mean,
Jimmy,
I'm a one alarm kind of guy, like always have been. That alarm goes off one time and I'm out of
yeah,
bed. But on a just say a 10 or 12-day strength span of every day,
yeah,
up super late, up early,
yeah.
really early, you're like, ugh, I wish I just had like 30 more minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Jimmy Carroll asked one of our first questions tonight. He's from Kentucky as well. So right now we're dealing with, well, really not right now. It's been in like the 50s, but last week it was really cold. So water temps are still really cold. So he was asking, what would be your go-to lure um, when the bite's like slow and soft? So like when there's not a lot going on, fish aren't really biting. What's your go-to lure to get one to bite?
So something that's super subtle, something that's really taken off is a Demiki rig with, some type of fluke style bait on it.
Right.
It's a do nothing bait. And of course you're most time you're using that with forward facing sonar. So if you have that technology, that's the bait of choice that I would do. If you
Right.
don't have that technology and you're just a, go fishing kind of guy, definitely a Carolina rig. A
Yeah.
Carolina rig with a lizard in the wintertime is hard to beat, especially, down here where I'm from.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Of course. So I've got one more question for you before we wrap it up. We've kind of touched about everything. We've talked about family. We've talked about the upcoming tournaments and Toledo Bend and everything. And just growing up. But I have to ask because I literally just seen an article. I posted it yesterday or the day before. I think it was Edwin Evers wrote an article about forward facing sonar. So everybody, it's either hit or miss. And it's I'll give you my view on it first, just because everybody looks at it one or two ways. They either think that that people get super offended over it or they don't. So for me, it's like if you got it, use it. Especially at your level, if you don't have it, you might be in some trouble because everybody's gonna have it. Everybody's got it. You've got to use it to stay in the to be competitive. You have to have it. And if you don't, then like a local derby or something. If you don't, you just don't have it. It is what it is. There's nothing you can control about somebody else having gear you don't have. So what's kind of your take on forward facing sonar?
I mean, I'm like you. If you have it, utilize it. It's just another tool.
Right.
But I do not think it needs to be banned or anything like that. I don't think that needs to happen. I think it's a phenomenal tool. I caught a 6.5 pounder today utilizing it. So
Right.
I definitely don't think it should go anywhere. Uh, but I feel like there needs to be states need to start looking ahead into the future
Mm-hmm.
for regulations on it.
Yeah.
And maybe not necessarily regulations on live scope itself, but
Yeah.
maybe start to look at regulations as far as limits,
Yeah.
on crappie and bass, because I can't say that forward facing sonar is the reason for this, but Toledo Bend, I do a lot of crappie guiding as well. I bass guide, but I'll do a lot of crappie fishing
Yeah.
and crappie guiding in the summertime. It's a big market here at
Yeah.
Toledo Bend, and so I have a big pontoon boat. I can take 6, 8, 10 people, crappie
Yes.
fishing, and I don't know how many guides are on the lake, but everybody has one. And when I first started guiding, you would have 3, 4 weeks at a time, span that when the
Right.
crappie was really biting, you could have 100 fish days.
Yeah.
And on Toledo, like that was a norm,
Yeah.
having 100 crappie a day. And this
Yeah.
past year, I think I might have had a half a dozen 100 fish days,
Wow.
and I'm not the only person that saw that.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of the guys, even the guys that have been guiding on the lake for 20 years,
Yeah.
have seen a decrease in catch. So, and it's recent, about the span of forward facing sonar. So
Yeah.
I think the states need to, take a step back and really look at, possible going down on limits. And I've heard of rumors of Texas kind of putting some surveys out there, asking people on the water would they be for, dropping limits or
Right.
some of that stuff. So I think that's where the regulations need to kind of happen, is
Right.
not on the technology itself, but on the regulations of the fish.
Yeah, yeah, I could have. I think that's to be honest with you, nobody's ever really put it that way before that I've talked to. I think that's a great idea. The technology is great. It really is. I mean, some people refer to it
Yeah.
as video game fishing or whatever. I mean, I see no issues with it. I don't.
No.
Uh, I don't think it's as easy as everybody thinks it is. I think
No, it's not.
it's a learned skill that everyone has to learn to use, and some guys
Mhm.
are just better at it than others.
Yeah, for sure. And just because you have it doesn't mean that you're gonna make them bite,
Right. Yeah.
There is so many days I've been out there and I cast at 400 fish and maybe catch 5, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, just because you have it does not mean that's not gonna make them bite.
You
Uh,
still gotta convince them.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
it frustrates you more than anything, make you wanna pull your hair out some
Right.
days.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I bet, dude. I can only
Yeah.
imagine. Amy Craig said, "Has Justin got to try out his new boat? It looks awesome." So you got a new boat?
Yeah, new boat. I'm in a Ranger this year, man.
Oh, okay.
Super blessed to be picked up by Ranger and Bass Pro. That's my
Oh yeah, I
big
did
change
see
for the
that.
year.
Yeah.
Yes, that's my big change for the year. Super blessed to be a part of that name, that Bass Pro Shop's name.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to run. I've been in the boat the past couple days running it. It handles really well. It fishes really well. It's super stable. There's
Yeah.
so much. I'm running a 521R this year,
Yeah.
just because one of my good buddies is actually buying the boat from me after the year, and he wanted a 21 foot. So I'm running a 21 foot this year.
Look at
It's
you.
going to be.
Looking out for your friends. That's great.
Yeah, yeah,
Dude.
exactly. Yeah, I like to do that. If I can have the boat sold before I even order it, I let them pick colors, add
Yeah,
whatever, accessories and saying that, and I'll make do. I just need the grass and the trolling
right.
motor and that Mercury back there. That's all I need. Everything else is window
Whatever.
dressing. Yeah,
Yeah,
is whatever.
yeah,
So
yeah. And I feel like that's hard on you guys as well. I remember Mark Menendez talking to Mark. He's got a degree in I think it's marine biology. And when you talk to
yeah, I
that
believe
guy,
so.
it's like talking. When you talk to him about fishing, it's literally like getting a lecture from a professor. Like he really knows his stuff. He's a very smart guy. And I talked to him out in Paducah. I think at one of the fishing expos out there, and he was trying to get graphs, and this was when COVID was going on, and he could not get graphs from I can't remember who his sponsor was, but he kept trying to order them and couldn't get them, and it's like, dude, you all have to go through like rigging up your boat every year. Like you got to get a
For
new boat,
sure.
you got to get new graphs, you got to like that has to be a lot just on top of everything else, getting used to a new rig.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, trying to get, like you said, trying to get it rigged out and make sure the bugs are worked out. Yeah, I was behind the eight ball a little bit this year because this Ranger deal kind of came a little late in the season compared. So,
Yeah,
I was waiting on a boat, and then once I got the boat, then ice storm hit,
yeah,
and that delayed shipping of brackets for my graph.
right.
So it's been a whirlwind, but just like you said, it can be hectic having to do
Right.
this year by year, but it's worth it for us in the long
Sure.
run, you
Oh, for
know?
sure. Yeah, and those Rangers they're sweet, dude.
Yeah, man.
They're sweet.
They're really that it looks good. I hated to wrap it. It was so pretty.
Oh yeah, I told, I think it was Hank Cherry. I talked to him last year, the year before, and he got his new bass cat, and it was black and red, and it was beautiful, man. It looked so good. And then he wrapped it, and I was like, dude, don't you just wish you didn't have to wrap it? I said,
Yeah.
that thing is so pretty, and he was like, man, everybody tells me that.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
we
wish I didn't have to wrap ours.
one more question before we call it a night. W.O. Aller, he's another good buddy of ours. He's been a loyal follower to us, and really good dude. He said, "What is the water temperature where you're at in the winter when you're throwing the Carolina rig?" So referencing earlier, I think you said like if you're just fishing, just your typical angler, you go out with that Carolina rig. What's the water temp when you're throwing that Carolina rig?
So it's around 50, give or take a degree, 48 to 54, something like, because that's kind of our normal water temperature here around Louisiana. Really, not so much the upper 40s. It's in the upper 40s right now, or at least the small lake that I went to today was
Yeah,
48, which is really cold. Some years it doesn't get that low, but the low 50s is where usually when I utilize that.
gotcha, gotcha. W.O. Thanks for the question. We appreciate it, man. So, Justin, I guess we'll kind of wrap it up for the night, and thanks for joining us. We really do appreciate it. What do you have any? Where can people find you at on social media? Any plugs, anything like that you'd like to add?
Yeah, so Justin Cooper Fishing on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and we're about to launch YouTube, Justin Cooper Outdoors, where I'm gonna do fishing, hunting, deer breeding, all that kind of stuff.
Are
People's
you
been
gonna have
asking for it.
the deer breeding stuff on there?
Yeah, yeah, I
Oh,
definitely
dude.
want to do some deer breeding stuff. So
Yeah. So well, I'm telling you, so I know you're going to be busy over the next. I mean, it's going to be a while. You're going to be doing a lot of traveling, but when you get a break, so two things in the fall, we're going to have you on our other show. We have a Tuesday night show that's all about hunting. It's all it is. It's nothing but
yeah, man,
whitetail. We'd love to have you on, just talk about hunting. And then
love it.
once you win this tournament, this opening tournament on Toledo Bend, we'll have you back on and celebrate a little bit.
I like the way it sounds.
All right, man. Well, hey guys, thanks for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. Every Thursday from here all the way through the end of Major League Fishing season and the Bassmaster Elite Series. Just get with us. We're going to be every Thursday night, 8 Central Time, 9 Eastern Time. And thanks for joining us, guys. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for joining us, brother.
Thanks, Josh.